everyone, and welcome to my little view of the Argo Cycle Tour from the C Group. So as you know, it was a lovely day, scenic ride for a lot of people on the road, but I ended up having a crash just before the finish, and this was the end result. A bent rear derailleur hanger, the handlebars were skew, brake lever skew, bar tape ripped, tubby torn off the front, lots of road rash on the body. So, but anyway, I actually still enjoy the ride, but we'll cover what happened in the crash towards the end of this video. So let's get started. So obviously my ride started around 6:33. I got into the chute at about 5:45, which was kind of spot on time, and I was hoping to get right to the front because it's kind of the best place to start. But as you can see, even as I arrived, there were loads of people already sitting waiting in the C group for the start. This is obviously a view again just before the start as guys are starting to get around, and here we go just before the actual start. You can see how full up it actually gets. So thank heavens I'm not starting any later, because I'd hate to be amongst the masses. I mean, this is enough people. There were over 300 people in the C group anyway. So here we go, it's 6:33. I push my Garmin to start my time, and off we go with the shot of the gun.
10, 9, 8, 7. Everybody say whoopla! 2, 1, and you're
Right, and off we go. So you can see the building ahead, the Civic Centre, and if you aren't a Cape Townian, in the big blow when we had a huge southeaster, this is where I got stuck. It was underneath this very building. I got stuck right under here, and this group pedaled away without me. But anyway, at least that wasn't the case this year. So off we went up Mount Mandela Boulevard, and as you can see, there's a guy who just come past me on the left side, and the road is starting to narrow here. And this is something I want to point out. Don't want to pick on the individual, but at this point it seems silly to start pulling in on the side when the road's that narrow. And look here, bit of silly movement. I had a few words because it's those kind of silly unpredictable movements that potentially take down the group. Anyway, we're now coming along ready to descend down to Hospital Bend, and what I've done, I've put myself up towards the front of the group. And obviously the reason for doing this, and as so happened, was there was a big crash in the kind of vets groups, or the B group, going around to the bottom of the bend. So this was one good reason why I got myself up to the front, to make sure I could get round the bottom fairly cleanly. Now as you'll note, you'll see the cones on the side. Now these ones perhaps on the left hand side aren't much of an issue, but I honestly still don't know why they do this. People from behind, if you're stuck in the bunch, can't see the cones, and it is so easy to hit them. And I'm suspecting that might have been part of the problem with the previous crash. And there's quite a few points along the route where they do this, and I just wish they could use a better system, because yeah, it just leads to problems. Anyway, we managed to get through Hospital Bend alright without any issues, but it's always wise to be up front at this point in time if you can. As I've said previously, what I plan to do is actually talk you through doing a sub 3 Argus, because there are some key pointers to find out, but that'll come in a later video. So here we go, we're pedaling, we're just about to go down the road past Paradise Motors. Again, it's up until this point, till you get past Paradise Motors, where potentially you can have lots of issues and crashes are a risk. And it's always wise to kind of hold your speed and try and hold your line as best you can down here, because people get concertinaed together. And even getting speed through, like some of the cyclists, you'll note there's someone who comes up I think my right hand side and zips through the cyclists, and it's these kind of actions which can potentially end in tears. And it's just, I think, a good idea to kind of hold your speed and your line down here so that you don't hit any issues. Anyway, again, we were lucky, we made it through the turn with no issues. And of course the next challenge is to face going up Edinburgh Drive, and this is again where you kind of want to be near the front of the group if possible. And I got caught a little bit behind here, but it wasn't too bad. I managed to kind of hold my a good pace coming up Edinburgh Drive. And then of course the next trick is getting ready going down the blue route. So I got a little bit boxed in at this point in time. I kind of said to my wife and my child, we're going to be waiting around Ladies Mile, that I'd try and pop to the front, and so at least my little daughter could see me at the front of the group. Anyway, I was fortunate enough over here at this point in time. I managed to unbox myself, and I decided to pick up the pace as well. I was kind of hoping to get a sub 3. I knew it might be a bit of a challenge in the C group because they might not go as fast as, let's say, certainly not the A group or the B group. I rode the B group last year, but my seeding, unfortunately, because I didn't do much riding this year, popped me into C. So I knew we'd have to do a bit of work and pick up the pace. So that's what I tried to do along the blue route. Fortunately, there were a group of guys who were willing to work at the front end, but the pace, it's a pity. The pace could have been a little bit quicker, and as you'll realize later in the race, I'll talk you through where it came undone for me in essence. But here we're going along the blue route. Stunning time of the day. The temperatures were perfect because they did get a lot hotter later on. So here these guys eventually come pop in front and assist with the work, which was brilliant. So at least there were some people willing to work. Of course, then once you get off the blue route, you come off and you do this left turn down towards a kind of retreat area just before Boys Drive. And this potentially is dangerous. You've got the sun in your eyes. If you've got your glasses on and they're murky, this can be potentially dangerous. You've got this turn again, which I made sure I was fairly near the front of the group to get around safely so we could head up Boys Drive. And at this point in time, my legs were still feeling fairly fresh, so when we entered, here we go, we're going up, starting to go up Boys Drive. Again, I knew I didn't want to get left behind if there was any brakes, so I stayed near the front, and fortunately I managed to have the legs to actually be fairly near the front of the group. Now this gent here on my left in the yellow top, I haven't seen him in years because I've been in the States for a while, and I used to race with him when I was in the B group in the PPA rides. His name's Patrick, and he's a true gent, and he actually did fairly well in the August. Here we go down that steep turn after Boys Drive, and I had to do some work here. There was a little bit of a gap, and it was only a small one, but I realized potentially I might get left behind if I didn't, so I had to put in a fair bit of effort. Here we're shooting up, we're going along that long stretch towards Smits Winkle, and there's Patrick again. We seem to be hanging around the same position actually. I ideally didn't want to be this far back, but it was difficult. It was a little bit boxed in, and you just had to be patient so you didn't cause any issues. And we basically climbed our way. We're starting to head towards, obviously, Smits Winkle along this route. And for those, again, who aren't initiated to Cape Town, potentially you can get baboons along that route, which you have to be careful of. So here we are going up Smits, and again, I managed to fortunately find my way through some of the slower riders. It's always a risk if you're not near the front with the front guys going over the top here, because it goes down. There's a little bit of a gradient going down, and if you're not there when they go, you can pick up a lot of speed. There can be a gap, and that's it. You lose the front guys. But anyway, I managed to stay there with the front guys, so at least I managed to pull it. Now there's a bit of a jump here because of the limited time I've got on YouTube. But now we're going up, obviously, the next serious climb, which is Chapman's Peak. And this is where my legs came undone. I had done a little too much work. I was fit, but I had done a little too much work. I kind of had to coax myself gently, talk myself into picking my legs up again. So I did kind of slowly shuffle my way through cyclists. But I was a little bit tired at this point in time. Stunning views off to the left here, and also we're just coming round the corner to where there is a little descent where we go down, and you kind of rest your legs through a little bit, and then you've got to pick it up again as you get round to this the start of the main Chapman's Peak climb. And here we go, and there we go, there's Patrick again on my right hand side. He did a brilliant job. But this is where I started letting go and people started passing me. It was a bit thinner in the C group here. Here we're coming to the top of Chapman's Peak, going over and ready for the descent. And here I knew I'd have to do a fair bit of work. And you can see I've got my head down. I had to do a fair bit of work to make sure I didn't get totally left behind with no one, because the bulk of the riders have got away. And here we go, we've come round, we're now going up Suikerbossie. And of course, those of you who cycle the Argus know this is the classic place for people and crowd support. Again, very thin, not many people on the ride, so I had to do some work to make sure I stayed with the group. There was a tandem that came by, so I had to put a fair bit of effort in to actually catch the tandem. And we ended up with a fair group of us coming through here, Camps Bay. The tandem, in fact, is in front now. There are about 5 or 6 of us who are working together. And I could see by my time we were potentially not going to get a sub 3. But we still worked at a reasonable pace to kind of get ourselves through this neck of the woods. So now we're coming through that, again, these last sharp turns as we get into C Point. Also potential for accident here, particularly this corner coming down here. Fortunately, again, not too many of us coming through, so we got through safely. And now it was the long drag basically to the finish line. And this is where I say there are about 6 of us working together. I could tell we weren't going at a fast enough pace to really catch that sub 3, but I came to the front. I thought I'd just try and pull as best I could to see if we could get the guys there. I did the pulling here, and then about a kilometer or so, or 500 meters from the finish, another gent pops in front, did some work in front of me. But unfortunately, this is where it all went a little bit wrong for my Argus cycle tour. He did a little bit of work about 500 meters from the finish. I come in front. As I come in front, one of the guys decides to shoot off on the left-hand side. You'll note he decides he wants to go and do a sprint finish, but he did a clean breakaway and got away, so there's nothing wrong with that. And then unfortunately, one of the other gents from the back came across. He decided he was going to come and pull a bit of the way, about 200 or 150 meters out. We touched wheels, and that was that. I was on the deck, and so were another 2 cyclists. So it was a pity that happened towards the end of the ride, but a racing incident nonetheless. I had to literally pick up my bike. My tubby had come off, so I had to run across the line. I lost about 6 minutes in the process, so I ended up with about a 3:07 something. But anyway, I hope you've enjoyed that little quick view of the Argus cycle tour. And again, if you do enjoy these series, I will be doing a series on how to do a sub 3 Argus, going through some nutrition hints and training hints, and also bike selection. I'm going to be doing reviews on both road and mountain bike. So if you do enjoy this, please do subscribe, share it with any other people who may find this interesting, and I'll see you for the next video. Thanks very much for watching.